dot 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 dead. It's that simple with this build, so stay tuned to find out how it works. Hey, it's Dan, and welcome back to Unified Gaming. In today's video guys, I'm going to break down the Infector Mark II. This is a dot-based Magicka Warden designed for the current patch, and this is crazy because it's like a Magicka DK with all the dots, but it's at range, so you can jump in a group and dot people up from the group. It's really silly, so this is really good. Is this your 1vx build? Sadly not guys. Can you use this on small scale? Yes. It's really good. Does it work in battlegrounds? Yes, as you can see in the footage. This is a really good, just versatile build, and it's actually a really fun way of playing the class. It's different. So obviously do kind of give it a go yourself, and if you are that 1vx player, it's worth watching this video because you might be fighting this build and it's quite annoying to fight against, so do stay tuned. And for those other people here, I've got different setups for you. Mythic items, non-mythic items, damage sets, defensive sets, so you've got lots of sort of versions for you to pick what you need, okay? But before you kind of look at the build and stuff, if you haven't guessed it, this channel is all about helping you get better with builds, guides and gameplay. So why not start improving today by subscribing and clicking on the bell so you don't miss anything. Now let's jump straight in. Starting with our race, a high elf in my opinion is the best for this. This is designed not to be 1vx, this is designed to kind of be in a bigger group where you've got heals and other people to help you, so you can push damage a little bit further. So it means you get access to more magicka, which is more damage, more spell damage, which is damage obviously, and you also get more stam sustain, which is always good. Does that mean a Nord can't work? No, a Nord is actually really good, and it means you can go in smaller groups with a Nord, so that is an option if you wish. You could use a Breton or an Argonian or even a Dark Elf. All of those work really well, but a High Elf in all honesty is probably the slightly better, but they're all good. As for the Mundus Stone, there's a few options. I personally really like the Mage. The Mage is kind of just an all-round Mundus Stone. If I go no CP though, I might change my Mundus. If I go for more damage, I might change it, so kind of listen to the options and pick what is right for you. Now, if you are doing battlegrounds or no CP, or you just find sustain a little bit hard because we are using lots of skills, then the Atronach Mundus will be your friend. So the way in which I build it, always kind of leave my Mundus Stone as kind of a flex spot, so change it to the Atronach if you need a bit more sustain. Now the Lover Mundus will give you the most damage, so if you really want to push that damage, like when you're in a big group and just melt people at range, the Lover is for you. But you do kind of sacrifice, maximum stats and regen or whatever it is, so sort of do play around with it. As for kind of consumables and stuff, I use Tri-Stat food, Bewitched Sugar Skulls. This is just the best kind of Tri-Stat food you can get. It's health, magic and stamina and health recovery for free, so really good. It's not too expensive either, so do get this if you can. And then Tri-Stat potions. If you're out of magicka, you're going to die. If you're out of stamina, you're going to die. If you're out of health, you're dead. So this is just, it covers all bases. It's really good. If you don't have these, just use Alliance War Potions, they're still okay. And I also use poisons as well, double dot poisons. They can be kind of any other poison you want crafted, but double dot works really well. And they don't have to be crown potions, okay? I'm now going to go through the skills and give you the options of what you can use. I'm going to explain kind of how they work, but they do need to kind of stay on the bars there are, or it just doesn't work properly, so just do factor that in, okay? On the front bar, I'm using Structured Entropy, it's a dot. It heals as well, 17,000. When this is buffed, it goes up a bit higher. We've got sets that make this go even higher that you can't see on tooltips. So this is like a 30k dot almost. It's really strong. Deep Fissure, which is, this goes up to like 20k when it's buffed fully. It's crazy. Shock Reach, which again goes up really high to about 15,000 fully buffed. Blue Betty, which is major sorcery, cleanse, free resources. Damage buff for being on the bar is great. Bird of Prey, this is here for minor berserk, and a damage buff for being on the bar. And an Ice Comet, which is 20k tooltip currently unbuffed. When we buff up, it's like 24, 25k, it melts people. Hit them with darts, cast this, they're dead. It's as simple as that. And on the back bar, I use Ice Fortress, which is your armor buff, minor protection, Consuming Trap, which is actually really good. Carry some soul gems, you get free sustain. It's really good. You get, kills always with this. It's free sustain. I use Arctic Blast, but you can use dampen magic as well. It's personal choice. Our magic ball is more than high enough for it. We then have Fletcher Infection, which is really important on this bar. You have to run it on this bar. And this is minor vulnerability, which gives us more damage to the target. It also does more damage on every other cast. And when this is buffed up, it does even more damage, so yeah. We then have Living Trellis as a kind of heal over time and a mini burst heal. And we use Hidden Thicket as kind of a oh no button should we just can't heal quick enough. So there's lots of healing power on this build, considering we might be a bit squishy. We've got lots of heals to help sort of overcome that. As for the just to show you the damage, when I buff up somewhat, my entropy is 19k. When I cast obviously my clench, it goes up because of the master staff. Weapon glyph, this is like 25k tooltips, and then we got Malakath, which makes it even higher. This is with all the dots, so like the dots are just absolutely disgusting, as you can see. So do give it a go, play around with it. It's really, really fun. I'm now going to go through the gear, and I know many people skip to this part, so if you have done that, go back, check the skills, because they are important and they do really, really help, okay? And if you are liking this video, then obviously like, comment, subscribe. We post regular ESO content. In the gear, I use the Master's Lightning Staff. This is probably like the best one you can get, and I've put on just the normal, not the Perfected, even though on the PTS, because this is the easier one to get. There's not much in it. Perfected will give you more damage, but it's not massive. Sharpened is the best damage trait, but Nirnhood is also really, really good. You want double dot poisons as well. And on the back bar, I use Icy Conjurer and I use an Ice Staff, but you could use Sword and Shield, absolutely fine. If you use an Ice Staff, it does give you access to this skill, so you can go down to Weakness of Elements and put on Elemental Drain instead of Fletcher Infection. Put that here just for extra Magicka sustain, which is really nice. And then you can put Fletcher Infection on the front bar, and you can drop Deep Fissure, you can drop Entropy, it's up to you. I personally would keep Entropy and drop Deep Fissure. You don't need it, but it's just nice to have. But those are those options there. If you don't have obviously a Frost Staff and you got any other weapon, then what you can do is just run Fletcher Infection here on the back bar, which means you can still proc the set because we got Minor Vulnerability, which will proc Icy Conjurer. So it's a really good way of getting it up. We don't use any poisons on that bar. Glyph can be whatever you like in all honesty, but ideally you want it to be defending. And if it is an Ice Staff, what I would suggest is in the Destruction Staff passives, don't have any points in Trifocus, because that will make it a bit harder to use, because you end up having to use Magicka to block, which isn't great. So it sounds good, but it's not that great in all honesty, so yeah. As for the rest of the stuff, I use Shadow End personally, I really like it. Just one piece because we have a mythic item, and that's just Magicka Recovery. Tri-stat, Impenetrable, Heavy Armor. We then use Necropotence, it's a staple for Magicka Warden. It's a really high damage set. I've tested Dragonkin's Grip, but I found that although our damage was higher with it on the dots and stuff, it wasn't really that survivable. This makes it easy to stay alive on, so this is just more versatile. So run this if you can get it. It's quite cheap. We have Impenetrable on all of it, and we have Tri-stat on the big pieces. So Tri-stat, Tri-stat, and Tri-stat. Magicka, 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 Magicka. You'll notice that the boots is Icy Conjurer. Any piece can be Icy Conjurer, so chest, shoulders, waist, hands, legs, or feet could be Icy Conjurer, just one piece. I got this, so that's what I use here. Impenetrable, so change it if you need to, Magicka. We then have one necklace and one ring. And they're both Icy Conjurer, they're Arcane, and they're Recovery and Recovery. I then use Malakath, Arcane with spell damage. And what this allows you to do is basically you can go between CP and no CP easily, just change your Understone. If you need to go with and get more sustain, put on Atronach and you're fine. If you find, oh, I still need more sustain, even then, you can change this to Recovery and you're absolutely fine. So there's loads of options there. And as I've said, there's other builds you can use with this. So if you find Icy Conjurer isn't needed, you don't really need the damage or it's missing too much, swap it for Dragonkin's Grip. This does basically exactly the same kind of thing, but it buffs all your dots by 617, and it gets buffed by Malakath and stuff, so it's just really, really good. So this is just another way to just buff your damage, and you get access to the 2 and the 3 piece at all times, so they're really good passives to have. And yeah, use that if you want more consistent damage. Icy though is the highest damage one you can get. Failing that, you could use Lich, which is really good. It gives you loads of sustain, so again you can backbar this, which is awesome. Or what you could do, like I do on Frostbite, there is a video on the channel for it, by the way, it's a Magicka Warden. I use Armor Master as well, so you can actually backbar Armor Master, and then you'd switch your Arctic Blast to Dampen Magic, and you can then get loads of armor, hitting pretty much armor cap. So being tanky and having dots is really, really cool. So those are the options for the back bar if you've got the mythic item. And if you don't have the mythic item, as I've said, you can use a full monster set. So some really good ones. I like Balorg. I really like Chokathorn, that's really nice. Falcon Score is really good on this because you proc that all the time. Shadowbend's not bad in duels. Swarm Mother's not too bad actually, because people kind of get pulled to you, which is pretty nice, which means you get like an extra couple of seconds to get some dots off and stun them, so it's quite a good one to actually have. It's a bit, people don't expect it, so it's quite good. Or Balorg, as I've said. But those are the monster sets and kind of what you would do if it's a non-mythic item. And you'd obviously change this as well to obviously be whatever you see fit. Now I'm going to go through the CP. Obviously feel free to pause it. This is what works for me. It's been min-max for my playstyle, which is kind of dot them at range, heavy attack, they die. It's pretty simple. Nothing really important to note here. I've put some in healing just to help with the heals. 23 here just to get some crit heals, but that's about it. Any high is wasted in all honesty. This is all optimized. This is all optimized. And yeah, see, all of this has been min-maxed, obviously for my playstyle. You can move these if you want into Bastion, if you use shields, that's just one option there. But that is the CP. Watch it again if you need to see it once more. And then I get asked, there's an awful lot, should I be a vampire? And in all honesty, no. For this build, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. There's too many negatives. Should I be a werewolf? There's no benefits, so just stay as a person. As you can see in my world skills, they just stay as a person. But before we continue, I want to say a massive thank you to our Patreons. Like, they're literally helping fund YouTube. Like, their help lets me make videos, and that is really, really so appreciated. Like, without their help, I wouldn't have this microphone, I wouldn't have the controller to play the game. It's really, really sort of appreciated. So if you want to help me make videos and help me kind of continue what I'm doing, then consider donating. There's a link in the description. There are perks like early access to videos and stuff, so it's really, really appreciated. And as I said with all of my videos, I always go through and give you kind of tips and tricks on just how to stay alive, do damage, all that good stuff. And this video is obviously no different. To do damage, it's pretty simple. Your job basically is to dot them up. If you use Icy Conjurer, which is awesome, you basically want to cast Fletcher Infection first, because it takes a while to travel, and then you've got the little wraith thing to go on his way. So what I'll do is I'll buff up with Ice Fortress, then I'll cast Fletcher Infection, Consuming Trap, and as soon as the Ice Wraith is kind of fired, I swap Bar, Entropy, then I do Light Attack, Shock Reach, Heavy Attack. And what will happen is that I'll have basically Consuming Trap ticking away, Entropy ticking away, Fletcher Infection ticking away, Shock Reach ticking away, Double Dot Poisons ticking away, and I'm heavy attacking at the same time as well. And I got the obviously Icy Conjurer also ticking away, so they're taking like 6,000 to 7,000 damage a second. It is really, really horrible if it all lands. And then what you'll find is they generally die or they have to run away. And if they aren't dead and you can still kind of attack them, you just do another heavy attack. You might cast Deep Fissure as you walk closer to them and they just blow up. It's really, really nasty. Alternatively, you got Meteor, so you can use Ice Comment in that combo. So what I'll do is buff up like before, Fletcher Infection, Soul Trap, Swap Bar, Entropy, Light Attack, Shock Reach, Meteor, Heavy Attack. And what will happen is they'll either block the Meteor, and then they just basically drain all of the stamina from your heavy attack and all your dots, so their stamina pool just goes right to zero really quick. Alternatively, the Meteor hits them, it stuns them, they lay on the floor with the Meteor dot, they've got 6-7 dots on them at this point, they're going to die within about 2-3 seconds. So literally, if they don't break free, they're dead. It's really, really horrible. So that's how you kill people at range. If you kind of are getting kind of intermediate range, what you want to do is then obviously Fletcher Infection, Arctic Blast, because that will stun people if they come near you, which is really good. You then might want to cast Deep Fissure, and then Light Attack, Structured Entropy, Light Attack, Shock Reach, and then you might want to go back and put on Fletcher Infection once more if you need to, or just Heavy Attack. But what you find generally is that by this point, you've got so much pressure on them that they either have to commit to get the kill, and they might risk dying themselves, so most people normally back off. And you can then go to Arctic Blast and get a massive burst heal, or Vines. You can go back to Arctic Blast and get a massive burst heal, or Vines, and you're going to stay alive. And what you'll find is that they will die most of the time because they can't out-heal the damage, or they have to reposition, and it gives you time to breathe. And if they are like still on top of you and you just can't get them off you with damage, you have Arctic Blast for a big heal, you've got Vines for a heal over time, and you've got Tree Ult, which is really good to kind of just get another big heal with a heal over time. So you can literally out-heal most of the incoming damage. And as I said, if you dot somebody up as they're kind of damaging you, more often than not, they kind of forget to heal themselves and they die. So it's actually quite funny. Like I fought Stalks where they've been kind of trying to kill me, and then they did their streak, and then dots killed them because they streaked through me, stunned me, but they had so much dot damage that they just took off all their shields and killed their health. And they literally couldn't get the final hit on me. and they got really annoyed. It's that nasty. People don't expect that much damage that quickly. So, as I said, kind of a good offense is actually the best form of defense sometimes, and this is kind of true in this case. That's kind of sort of the end of the video, guys. It's long enough as it is. This video is long enough as it is, though, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up here, guys. If you want to see more from us, then obviously like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff really helps. And if you want to see us live, then consider jumping onto our Twitch. We stream every Saturday, there's a link in the description. But with that said, guys, I'm going to wrap the video up here. It is long enough as I've said, so take care, thanks for watching, and bye.